In today's video, we're going to do more scary animations. Let's get into it. Like 33 more minutes or 29 more minutes and we're done.
I had a really scary experience that
Oh,
I will never
bloody
forget.
scary. Okay.
I got up at 8 a.m. as usual.
As usual.
But as I stood up, I noticed something was different.
Oh.
It was very cold, and I felt like someone was watching me. When I turned to my sister's bed, she woke up, and I screamed. Two heads hovered in the air, one of an older woman with long, dark hair and green eyes, the other of a bald, older man with blue eyes. I screamed again and ran to my mother. I told her what happened and saw some man at the door. I can't recall what he looked like, but I screamed and hugged my mother when I saw him. I was crying at this point, and she looked at me as I pointed to the door, not explaining why. She instantly knew what I was upset about, and she spoke in the direction of the door. I don't know what she said. I was just too scared to listen, and all I wanted was to be somewhere else. Nothing like this happened to me again. Until I was 13.
I knew.
I was coming from my friend's house and was really tired. I went to my room, turned the lights off, and went to bed. At 4 a.m., I suddenly woke up without a reason. When I looked at the door, I saw my mother looking at my sister. She had lifeless eyes, which reminded me of the incident that happened when I was 7 years old. The heads had the same lifeless eyes as my mother, except her eyes were red and just looked evil. I knew it wasn't my mom. I hid under the blanket, praying that the thing would just go away. When I looked up, it was still there. I prayed again.
Go away!
And it vanished. I mean, literally vanished. I saw it with my own eyes. That thing grew fainter and fainter until I couldn't see it anymore. When it was gone, I ran to my parents and explained what happened. They believed me and said that if I couldn't go to sleep, I could watch TV or just stay up. I thanked them and went to the living room. Now, I'm 14, and I talked to my mother about the incident that happened 7 years ago. And when I told her what the heads looked like, she seemed very surprised and confused. When I asked her what was wrong, she told me that the description I gave perfectly matched that of my dead grandparents. I don't know if they were really my grandparents, or who that man on the door was.
Ask your agency about web accessibility
No.
with Accessibility.
No.
Beyond the veil lies the Shadowlands, where...
You guys saw that, right? Please tell me you guys saw that. I'm getting the blanket again.
My name is Tade, and this incident happened to me when I was 8 years old.
Oh, I guess you're not
As I was in
sticking
elementary
around,
school,
huh?
We were learning about the Victorian era in history,
Oh,
which I didn't give
was
a crap
boring.
about. My history teacher had a Victorian family tree
But that's
and stuck it
his
on the walls of
story.
the classroom. I didn't know why we had to look into somebody's family history.
Exactly.
I mean,
Well,
that doesn't make any sense.
but
Why
you
we
saw
had to
that, right?
into
Look at the
somebody's
eyes, look at the
family
eyes.
history. I mean, that doesn't make any sense. When I laughed at it, the history teacher glared at me in the most stern and terrifying way.
What the hell?
His veins were poking out of his head,
What the hell?
and his hand clenched into a fist and was shaking quiveringly.
He's pissed.
"What are you laughing at, boy?" he yelled. It was weird. I was too scared to reply, so I said, "Nothing." Later that night, when I went to bed, I struggled to get to sleep. I was tossing and turning. A few minutes later, I finally drifted off to sleep, but it didn't last a long time. I woke up an hour later. I was checking my phone to see that it had just passed midnight. Suddenly, I heard a group of people talking outside. I thought it was one of the neighbors, so I headed to my window. When I looked to see what was going on, my heart just dropped. There, in the middle of the garden, were parents who were beating their child with a wooden club. The parents and the kid were all wearing the Victorian era style clothes. I was so confused why they were here, why they are beating their child, and why they wore such clothes out of place. Then, all of a sudden, The mother looked up at me. Her eyes glowed red, and she cackled loudly, which made me so terrified. Then she pointed at the sky with a finger that was so skinny, and the family faded away. I couldn't sleep at all the whole night, and I thought about the class that I took at school. From that day, I never made fun of any teachers again.
He's a demon. My little
My name
scary
is Shay.
teddy bear.
Well, at least that's what everyone calls me. About 11 years ago, my mom, my big brother, and I moved from Mississippi to Nashville.
Mississippi. One
We were
Mississippi.
staying with
Two
my
Mississippi.
uncle and his wife and stepkids for a while until we got our own place. About a month later, we found an apartment to stay in. I had a bunch of teddy bears that I really liked between I was 12 going on 13. Well, when we finished to move our new house, I decorated my room really nice, and I set my teddy bears on my shelf above my bed.
Aw.
A week later, I noticed one of my teddy bears would always go missing, and I would find it under my brother's bed.
Oh
I
no.
thought he was taking my teddy bear just to freak me out, but he really had no idea what I was talking about. It was kind of weird, so I decided to lock all my bears in my closet.
What
I
makes you
stayed in my
think that?
closet for 2 days. Everything was fine. That's what I thought until the third day after has been started. The third day, I woke up on a Saturday and my closet door was cracked and my teddy bear was in the same place under my brother's bed.
What?
I knew something was wrong. After that, I immediately threw my teddy bears away after that.
You think
We
they're
stayed
gonna
in
just
that
go
apartment
away,
for
do
a
you?
year.
No,
After
they
that,
won't.
We moved.
Let me guess, they
I'll
won't.
never forget the day of the move. We found bones in the fireplace from a human.
What?
Now I'm 23, and I still remember that day, but I always think, what if I set up a video camera to see what was causing my teddy bears to do what they did?
Mm-mm. In a haunted house? What?
My name is Sam. It was August of 2001. I was 15 and accompanying my dad to visit his friend's new house.
Cool.
My dad's friend, who we call Rick, just moved into this house a few weeks ago. My dad wanted to visit and ask about renovation and decorating the place, as it was pretty old.
That looks like Nick from the first video.
Well, I'm English, so that means my country is full of old houses, from like the 1500s. Rick had bought an antique castle thing in a forest.
Castle thing,
I know,
yeah.
pretty creepy, right?
No.
Anyway, we arrived and Rick and his wife invited us in. My dad and Rick soon went off to the garage to discuss what plans were for that room. I was left alone with Georgina, Rick's wife, and their newborn baby, Rick Jr. Georgina asked me to fetch some formula from the kitchen
Rick Jr., wait.
and their newborn baby, Rick, that room. I was left alone with Georgina, Rick's wife, and their newborn baby,
Rick's wife!
Rick
No.
Jr.
There's no way.
Georgina asked me to fetch some formula from the kitchen for little Ricky. And being the good 15-year-old boy, I agreed, even if the house was home to demons. I went into the kitchen and the first thing I noticed was a trap door in the corner. Me, being curious, I opened it. A terrible smell filled the kitchen. It smelled like horse manure mixed with puke. Suddenly, a pale hand with long fingers grabbed me. I swore and started hitting the hand. Another hand grabbed my other hand and tried to drag me down. I
You'll just
shouted for
get
my
drowned.
dad. Suddenly, purple eyes appeared from the darkness of the trap door. They stared at me. My dad rushed in, and the hands disappeared. I had scratches on my arm, and so I ran them under some cold water. My dad asked me what had happened. I said there was some demon guy in the cellar. My dad and Rick grabbed flashlights and searched the basement. Nothing was there. We called the cops who searched the property, and of course, they found nothing. When I got home, I went straight to my computer. It turns out a man was shot in a hunting accident there, roughly around 1770. But trust me, those hands weren't of a man. Rick still lives there, and over the past 18 years, there have been countless sightings and weird stuff. I just hope whoever or whatever that thing is goes away.
Next word, but what is
It
wrong?
happened just a few years ago. When I was hanging out at my cousin's apartment, there was a building in front of the living room window. That night, we were having so much fun and having a fun conversation. It was 7 p.m. and we noticed that there was an open curtain in the building just a few
Anyone realize about the Call of Duty song? Ba-nom-nom-nom,
feet
nom-nom-nom,
across from our
nom.
apartment. I
No.
got up in my seat just to take a quick look at that window. I was just curious. Then I saw a woman. At first, I couldn't see her face because her hair was blocking it.
Oh, come
I
on!
told this to my cousin. He was shocked about what I said. He told me to get his binoculars. Then he used them to look. Suddenly, he screamed in fear. I asked him why. He said, "What
Wait.
the heck is that?" Then I got...
Break. Okay. I had to do something.
My heart was pounding so hard.
What happened? No.
I saw a dead woman.
Whoa!
Her neck was bleeding. Her blood was dripping on her yellow dress, and her body was hanging from the small chandelier.
Oh.
My cousin has military experience, and he got up the courage to go into that room.
No.
Before we went into that room, we told the guard what was there. So we had 2 guards following us, and I told the one guard to follow me to our room so he could see what was in that window, and he was shocked too. He was shocked. He radioed to his fellow guard that was with my cousin, and then we followed them to the next building. We also called the cops. When the police arrived, we struggled opening the door. When we got there, we all turned on the lights, and everything in there was all messed up. We opened the bedroom, and we saw the dead body hanging from the chandelier. 2 weeks later, the murderer was caught, and the police gave us a reward for helping to solve a case.
Yeah.
However, to this day, I will always remember the horror we experienced.
Oh my god, that's terrifying. Something was in my apartment. Oh my god. Why is there always
It's a
something
scary
in their
paranormal
apartment?
story that happened to me in my sophomore year in college.
Yeah, we're finishing this.
It still gives me creeps and
Uh-huh.
scares me to this day.
Uh-huh.
It's a true story. Trust me. As New Year has just begun, I moved into the apartment. It's a 2-bedroom apartment with 2 bathrooms. Me and my housemate got our own rooms.
Housemate, what?
Everything seemed nice and got along great for the first week. I would often wake up to sounds in the middle of the night coming from the kitchen, since my room was the closest to it. I always assumed it was my roommate having a late-night snack.
Oh yeah, late night snack.
After the second week, he told me that he was actually going to drop the university because he didn't feel so well physically and was kind of homesick. I was sad that he had to go, but I was a little excited thinking that I had the apartment to myself and wouldn't hear his midnight munchies.
Yeah.
And that night, I woke up to noise from the kitchen again. I was a bit confused because I was the only one in the apartment. I was alone now. I then went to investigate and found a knife on the floor in the kitchen. I put it back in the drawer and went back to bed, thinking it might have fallen from the counter. A few nights passed and I didn't hear a sound, except for this night. I heard some sounds coming from my closet.
No.
It was
No.
about 3 a.m.
No.
Then I just felt a coldness around me, and my hair was standing up on my whole body
I
when
yeah.
I woke up to see my closet. Suddenly, I saw a dark figure standing next to the closet. It looked like a Dementor from the Harry Potter movies, but it disappeared in a few seconds. I figured I was having a wild imagination. The next day, I felt tired from all my classes, so when nighttime fell, I knocked out in my bed.
Oh
That night
no.
was the night I would never forget. I remember waking up to some noise coming from behind me. I woke up and I realized that I couldn't move. All I
Paralyzed.
could move were my eyes.
Sleep paralysis.
I was laying in bed in fear. My heart started to thump really hard.
Sleep
I
paralysis.
felt a cold air behind me as I felt this person coming closer
Sleep
but I
paralysis.
couldn't hear any footsteps. That's when I realized the bed was shaking viciously, but it wasn't because of me. I tried to see at the corner of the room and I saw the dark figure from the other day. This time it had red eyes, like those of the devil. My heart sank when I saw it. Although I wasn't a strong believer in God until that moment, I closed my eyes and started to pray to God to help me. I started to remember my parents and friends. That's when I felt the figure stop. I just kept thinking of everything that made me happy and praying to God to help me. And finally, I felt the dark figure leave the room, retreating back to its corner.
Yeah, if you guys didn't know, that happened to me. At the end of, you know what? We're gonna end it here, folks. I'm scared to my life. Nope. Wait, I have to make a reminder. Wait. Okay. Yeah, that was my sleep paralysis. No.
After 5
What?
minutes,
No,
I was
what?
able to move my body. I decided to go sleep at my neighbor's apartment for the night as I ran away as fast as I could.
Yeah, I
run.
would do that.
I eventually moved out of that apartment by the end of the month. And now I'm always wondering if those things are what made my housemate leave. Needless to say, I'm glad I moved out.
So I'm a nurse, and I was driving home from work one night. The road.
Okie dokie. Have to ookie. Okay, sorry guys. I have to get my food. This is good stuff. So yeah. Let's get back. Sleep
Roads were
paralysis.
deserted, and it was freezing that night.
Oh, okay.
I don't live far from work, maybe a couple of miles.
Couple my
I'm
dang.
driving down a residential
Driving
street
is, yeah.
around the corner from my house, and I see a man laying face down in the street.
Oh.
Once again, I'm a nurse, so my first thought was great. Gotta help this guy. I was coming off of a long shift, and falls happen all the time. As I slowed down the car, I suddenly realized what an idiot move it was. I'm a 100-pound woman and I don't carry a weapon. I
Oh.
thought I should do something to help this guy, so I called 911 as I drove past him.
You are
Stopped
911.
at
What?
the end of the block. While I was stopped at the light, I explained to the dispatcher that there was a man in the road who might need assistance. All of a sudden, I hear a loud bang, bang from the driver's side window. I screamed and I looked over. A man was pounding on my window and jiggling the handle of my locked door. I looked in the rearview mirror and saw that there was no man laying in the street anymore.
Uh-oh.
Still on the phone with 911, I screamed, "I'm so scared," to the dispatcher and floored it through the red light. I quickly told him what had happened, and even though I was right by my house, he told me to keep driving. After a few minutes, I had calmed down and he told me to loop back around. I pulled over down the road from my house and I stayed in the car. I didn't see the man anywhere, so I got off the phone with the dispatcher, who told me he was sending a police car to cruise the area. As I gather up,
No! No. When you call the cops, you don't just say like, yes, come please, quick. They tell you, wait. Stay on the phone with me until the cops get there. So they know if something happened to you. And shut up with your webbed fingers, dude.
my thing to do a final scan of the area, and I see the man. He's walking with two other men. I I hunched way down in my car until they were further down the road, then bolted into my house. I don't know if he had ill intent, but it freaks me the hell out that he wasn't alone. Just always
Lock your doors. Okay, I mean, why lock your doors when you can leave them open and kill yourself by letting a guy in your car?
This story happened when I was in the 9th grade.
Like,
I was going home after being at my friend's apartment. He's
yeah.
one of my good friends, so I often visited him. It was about 9 p.m. at night. Usually I went home at 5 or 6 when I visited him, but it was final exam week, so I went home later than usual to prepare for it together.
Yeah.
He lives on the 15th floor.
Oh, okay.
I took the freight elevator down because it was quicker than the passenger elevator. The elevator is kind of old, shaky, and not really well maintained. The fan isn't working, the walls are rusty, full of graffiti, and the light flickers, as you would expect from an old building's elevator. At the moment, there were 3 or 4 people with me going down to the lobby. The elevator went down normally. Then, suddenly, at the 9th floor, the door opened. I saw one of my other friends. Her name is Billy. She was playing, laughing with some kids who I assumed to be her friends.
Okay.
Then she looked at me and smiled. I stared at her for a moment, but I didn't reply to her because, well, we're not that close. Nothing came to mind to say. So the elevator closed back up and took me to the lobby. But soon, I realized that no one that was on the elevator with me seemed to notice those kids, despite the loud laughter they made. But once again, I didn't care about it, so I went back home and rested. The day after, I saw Billy again. Out of curiosity, I asked her, "Hey, why were you playing so late at night? Why didn't you stay at home?" She looked confused, as if I was asking her a random question. She then asked me, "Well, what do you mean? I didn't go anywhere yesterday. I was at my house." I was a bit confused, and I couldn't believe what she just said. She then asked me again, "Well, what was I wearing yesterday?" I answered, "You wore a white t-shirt, right?" I was hoping that she would say yes, but she said no. I
No.
felt my heart dropping.
Yeah, I would
If
say.
it wasn't her that I saw last night, then who? A few days later, as usual, I was visiting my friend and went home late again. I waved goodbye to him as I was walking the corridor. One thing came to mind. How am I going to get down?
No.
Remembering those elevator things, I took the stairs. Well, I guess it wasn't a really good decision, but at least better than that scary elevator. I walked down the dark stairwell. Once in a while, I looked at the open part, and this time, I saw a shadow figure looking out from the balcony across. It seemed normal to me, probably a person looking down, so I kept on walking. Watching my step, I looked back up again, and suddenly, the shadow figure thing disappeared into nowhere in just a blink of an eye. I was so scared thinking about how the hell did that guy disappear that quickly?
There's no
Jumping
way,
down
wait.
the balcony?
Wait. Back. Okay, sorry guys, my flipping brother.
I saw the sign 8th floor, which means I saw that figure when I was on the 9th floor. That same floor that I witnessed the ghost Billy. Soon I called my friend and told him about it. He was surprised and told me that a lot of people also said that the 9th floor is actually haunted.
Yeah.
There
No
was
crap.
once a guy that died there, but was found rotting in his apartment room 3 days later.
Those eco-friendly shoes everyone's talking about. Kind of expensive, but all right.
It's 8:34. Dang. I have to finish this up.
Hi, I live in a city of Philippines. This incident happened to me a while ago, but it reminded me forever and ever. That day, I was staying outside for some schedule, and it was kind of late, so I thought that I have no choice but to take a jeepney which is a public vehicle in the Philippines to ride back home.
Oh, okay.
The street was pretty quiet.
Uh-huh.
I saw one jeepney was going to pass through, so I waved my hand.
Oh.
And when I just entered a jeepney, my eye directly reached a woman besides the driver's seat. The woman looked asleep beside the driver, and for her head is resting at his shoulders.
Oh.
So I thought that woman was a girlfriend of the driver. I sat to behind side, and in my front view of my seat, there was an old man, so there were only 4 passengers during that time. The inside of jeepney was quiet. Nobody was talking, and I didn't any pay attention to others. And that was the most worst things happened. When the jeepney have traveled for a few meters more, then the old man who was in front of me suddenly asked the driver to stop the vehicle and dragged me outside. At the first time, I didn't recognize what was going on.
What?
Then I was just scared of his sudden behavior, so I shouted, "Stop it!" He had no replies for a few seconds. Then he replied, "Shh, trust me." Still confused, but I quickly followed what he said because I'm very nervous that time and didn't know what should I do. My mind was almost blew up. I kept thinking, what if he was going to steal something of, kill me? What should I do? When we already have left the jeepney, he stared me and finally told me with calm voice that the girl who was beside the driver's seat was already dead. I could not believe what was he saying.
What?
Then he said again, I saw with my own eyes. Her lips and nails were already black, and her waist have an ice pick stabbed on it and full of blood.
Oh, no.
I was shocked.
It hurts.
If I didn't follow that old man so I didn't get off, what would be the next? The old man left behind me and said again, "You should be careful next time." After that day, when I get on jeepney, I always pay attention abnormally.
Yeah, I would too, from that day on. Followed me into the woods. Why are you going into the woods? 4 minutes left.
2 weeks ago, I woke up in the morning to get ready for school, as
Good.
usual.
Yeah.
Because I live in a small village, there's no bus that drives to my school.
Oh.
So I always have to drive with my bike about 4 miles.
I'll drive with my... Oh,
As I
wait,
didn't want to
what?
drive alone, a friend of mine would drive with me to school every day.
Okay.
One morning, me and my friend would meet up at our place. Driving to the place, I wasn't feeling well, and my friend was waiting when I got to the place. We drove along through the woods and made some jokes about what was going to happen at school today. As we were driving, I heard some sticks cracking, and I thought nothing about it. Seconds later, I heard it again, and again, and again, and again. I asked my friend if he heard that too. He said, "No, why?" 1 minute later, I heard it again, but louder. I asked my friend, "Did you hear that?" But he said no. And the second after that, I saw a tall-like figure running just on the right of me. My heart got frozen. I screamed in my head as I saw that face. Everything was in the wrong place. The nose was above the eyes. The mouth was wide open, and the eye sockets were empty. I instantly passed out. 1 hour later, I woke up in a hospital with my friend sitting to the right of me and my mom to the left. My friend said that I fainted and fell to the ground and I had broken my left leg. The day after that, I laid in my bed with pain because of the broken leg.
Yeah.
I had to take strong painkillers. Later that day, I laid in my bed and tried to sleep. As I was slowly passing out, I heard scratching on my window.
No.
I looked,
No.
and then I saw the face of the figure. I froze instantly.
No.
The figure was just scratching with its long fingers on the window and smiled with a wide mouth. I blacked
Do
out.
that. Come on,
I woke
dude.
up in the morning with pain in my leg. I rolled to my left and took my painkillers. After that night, I never saw or heard anything of that figure again.
Until today.
I told my friend everything, and surprisingly, he said that he saw something like that in one of his dreams.
What?
I still don't know what that figure was,
Why is his left foot bigger than his right?
and why my friend had a dream about that thing. I put down my blinds and shut my window at night. Always.
Mm-hmm.
Now we have a bus that brings us to school.
Mm.
I didn't tell my mom about this, and never will.
Okay. I don't. What?
If only there was a place
No,
nearby you could
come,
get one of
dude.
these.
No.
These.
Ding dong, ding dong.
A few years ago, I took my family up to the cabins by the lake because I just won a big case against some drug dealer. In the middle of the night, my wife woke me up shaking my shoulder pretty hard.
Okay. What
She
happened?
told me that someone was banging on her door.
What?
I thought to myself, why would someone come to our cabin in the middle of the night?
Exactly. Wait,
I got up to go check.
how does he know what time it is? What? Okay. Nah. Another break. Hey. Okay, I'm back. So yeah. Don't mind the background. My
wife
sister just woke up with a bad dream. So hey.
my bag.
Just trying to get
Told her I
water.
wouldn't need it.
Okay.
The person kept knocking and I opened the door.
Jesus. Shut up.
A kid standing there.
Oh.
I asked
Okay.
him, what are you doing here? Then he started running.
What?
So I chased after him as my wife watched.
I think I saw this.
He kept running in circles, then he tripped and I grabbed him and asked him, why are you knocking at our door in the middle of the night?
He turns to the
The boy
cabin.
said,
Er,
because my uncles told me to. I asked, what? Why? The boy hesitated and looked me straight in my eyes and said, to get you out of the house. Simultaneously, I hear my wife scream out my name in horror, and I hear footsteps running right behind me. I turn around and I see 4 hooded men running toward me. I reacted so quick that I ran over the kid. I see my wife and she ran off the porch ready to swing the bat, but I yelled at her to get back inside and called the cops. The guys were chasing me and were about 15 feet behind me. I made it inside the cabin, grabbed my cell phone, and I called the cops. When the police officers arrived, they noticed that those guys went through our car and stole some of my information. Who were those guys? And what would have happened?
this guy looks like Rick.
If they would have caught me? I know the situation could have been worse. They could have went inside the cabin with my kids and my wife, but what did they want with me? After that night, we never went back to that cabin.
Oh, looks like somebody just watched an hour and 33 minutes in separate videos. So yeah, so remember the, let me go back in like those videos. Let me go back.
After that,
No,
but at 4,
no,
uncles.
no,
We're
No.
in the
no, 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 no.
My steps went quicker, but to my
No.
steps. Story. Trust me. As New Year has just begun,
Earn your degree faster.
Dude!
University Global.
Come
With
on.
over 175
I moved into the apartment. It's a 2-bedroom apartment with 2 bathrooms. Me and my housemate got our own rooms.
Okay, yeah. So, one night I was just sitting in my bed playing, and then I turned off my phone. I was playing on my Switch, or no, that was back then. So, I mean, it was in this house. It's just it was like a couple months or weeks ago, and my cat was running from something. I could feel, or I could like hear his like, I guess like his claw, whatever he used, and he was running. I could hear him running, and he ran into my room, and he jumped on my bed, and he was looking at my door frame. I told you guys in the first one, but I didn't tell you guys one thing. I saw a woman at my door. I saw a lady through my window. No, I swear, some lady was just at my window while that happened. And my cat, instead of looking at me, it looked at my window. And what it saw was a woman. Yay. Okay, that'll be the end of this video. It already made me very, very scared. So, guess we pooped the pants right here. Okay, guys. Peace out. Bye-bye. Bye.